It's now time for Energy Insights, where you get an inside view and local perspectives of all the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley. This program is being brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association and can be heard every Saturday at 9 a.m. on local radio WMOA AM 1490 and ESPN radio WJAW FM 100.9 and AM 630. It's now time for the show. Here's Johnny Wharf, your local host.
Saturday morning radio Energy Insights brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Congressman Bill Johnson has been a pleasure to speak to here for a few weeks about energy and commerce and certainly oil and gas. And I wanted to touch about the technology end of things. We discussed a little bit, and it's, I'm sure you've been out to one of these oil and gas sites and to see how much information they can have in a truck above an oil well.
When I first was elected and I did my first tour of a drilling rig, I remember standing on this operator's site, and he was giving us a tour of his rig and telling us how it all worked. And I said, "Now, how do you do the horizontal hydraulic fracturing part?" He started laughing. He said, "No, you don't do that with this rig." He said, "This is about a $2 million rig." He said, "The kind of rigs that they're using to drill down 1,000 feet and then turn and snake out horizontally for a couple of miles," he said, "those are about $12 million rigs." And so, we had a lot of folks in the oil and gas industry here, and a lot of our citizens said, "Hey, where are all these automobiles coming with license plates from Louisiana and Oklahoma and Texas?" That's because we didn't have those skill sets here in Ohio when we first started seeing the power of the oil and gas reserves that are under our feet. And so we had to have people come in and teach us how to do that. It seemed over the last 10 years that every year or so a new technological innovation would occur that would allow us to get even more energy and more oil and gas out of those reserves. It's amazing to me that those engineers can park the nozzle of that hole that's drilled in the ground where it comes out of, and how they fracture it safely and bring that resource out. They can micro target exactly where they need to be. It's amazing to me that they're able to do that.
With the economy on the up and the commerce that this oil and gas it brings to the area, so comes a lot of other things, that you need. The bigger you get, the better you get, the more you need, right? And as it relates to technology, and I'm everything from sweeping the sidewalk out front and redoing your storefront to getting the best access available to information. And I know recently you had A.G. Pye in town, who's the FCC chairman, and you guys are trying to get a step ahead there.
Some of us may not realize how much information technology, factors into the oil and gas industry. We've got all this resource under our feet. You've got drilling companies that will come in and drill the well, tap into the resource, set it up so that it can be harvested and pumped out. If we want the benefits of those resources to stay here in eastern and southeastern Ohio, then we've got to give those companies all the tools that they need to come here and set up operations. Information technology, access to broadband is one of the big things that we struggle with here in our region. That's why I had Chairman Pye in. You'd be shocked at when you look at the map of unserved and underserved areas where we lack broadband access. Our region is one of the worst, one of the most needy in that regard. Companies have to be able to get access to their suppliers, to their customers, to the information world, to stay current on technology. We've got to solve this problem. I told somebody last week when I met with Chairman Pye, and I've told him and I've told the president, if we don't solve this rural broadband urban divide over the next 20 years, there's not going to be much of a problem to solve, because we live in a digital world. We're not putting that jack back in the box. It's not going to go backwards. It's just going to get Technology is going to take us even higher. We've got to get that access for rural America. And energy companies are no different than any other company. They've got to have access to that digital world.
Yeah, and if you've ever tried to get a meeting with A.G. Pye or anybody on the Hill of that stature, what a pleasure that we could you could bring him to us, because that's not something that anybody can do.
You know, Johnny, he has a link to our region because his wife is from our region, just up northern part of my district. So he and I have a lot of conversations about this.
He is a good guy, and certainly a friend to our industry as well. Talk a little bit about, and you touched on this already, and it begs to repeat, is the idea that here's, we're trying to get these big companies to come in and look and come where the energy is, right? But they're okay, that's an easy answer, but then all of a sudden you start thinking about broadband and schools, and because that's just the very first thing on the list, right? Everything works out there, but then they go down the list, and healthcare and all the different things that come about somebody making $1 million, sometimes $1 billion investment.
Yeah, I've moved all over the United States in my military career and in my professional career. Every time I moved into a new location, what are some of the things that I thought about? The same thing that anyone thinks about when they're relocating. What's there for my family? What about the schools, the hospitals, the recreational opportunities, all of those things that are necessary to raise a family. That's why infrastructure, broadband access, good school systems, that's why that is so vitally important. It's anticipated. Right now we produce in this region about 30+% of America's natural gas demand. By 2040, that's going to be over 40%. By 2050, it's anticipated that it'll be over 50%. It is a big number. There's a lot of opportunity coming to our region that can put the American dream in play for people that never thought it was going to happen for them. But we got to have that infrastructure for it to work.
Powerful information from Congressman Bill Johnson. We thank you for your time, and thank you for the coffee, too.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bill Johnson, our guest here on
Thank you for listening to Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. on WMOA and ESPN Radio WJAW as Johnny Wolf brings you your local and inside perspectives of the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley.